Hey you, it's still Sunday, and I had the date wrong earlier. It's the 4th of November. Um, it's a Sunday, and I'm just back from a walk with Alexander. I think we were out for an hour and a half. A couple of things happened on the walk that I wanted to reflect. Firstly, well, he was pottering around somebody's like gravel installation bed, and he was just playing around for 10 minutes, moving tiny little stones from one place to another. And while he was doing that, I was sort of hanging in a tree next to him on the side of the road, side of the road, just for a bit of stretching and stuff. And then I noticed like this family in the house were all in their lounge window checking all of this out. And then one member of the family came to the front door, opened the front door, not the outer door, but the inner door, and stood there and shouted something at me and gesticulated. And, I pointed down at the little boy, 18-month-old Alexander, and, I kind of shrugged my shoulder. He wasn't doing anything, to disturb their garden. He was picking up the odd tiny gravel stone and moving it from one part of the bed to another. That was it. Or putting the stones into the bushes, like one every 30 seconds. He's so slow going, and he could have move around here and do this. And the bushes are in the gravel bed, so the stones are just falling back onto the gravel bed, but he possibly thinks he's feeding the plants with their nutrients. Those are inorganic minerals, by the way. That's the macrocosm of the microcosm, what you drink when you drink distilled, non-distilled water, or rather tap water or bottled water that's full of minerals. It's that rubble that'll become Alzheimer's conditions and arthritis. So I was telling a couple of youngsters this yesterday. If they take this advice, it could be the most important health advice they ever hear. There's probably more important health advice, but it's a good start. Anyways, just made me feel uncomfortable, like this encounter with, because, you've got this beautiful little boy just pottering around and doing absolutely innocent things, causing the stones weren't spilling onto their driveway or, nothing they could really complain about. And perhaps if they were complaining about me hanging out of the tree, it was only me hanging out of a tree. I wasn't trying to hurt the tree. So that was a curious encounter with my fellow mankind. I mean, obviously it was nice enough that they were able to stop watching the TV for a little while so as to see some real life going past their front window. And then I was sort of, I don't know, I wasn't keen to walk for too much longer, but we were heading past the golf course, and Alexander was pointing over the fence, please go over there. He was, really eager for me to cross the fence. He knows that's how we get into the golf course. So, and the last time I was there was the morning of the police raid. So, it's quite a significant thing to be able to take him back on the golf course. He knows it well, and he knows our route through the golf course. And that's a normal for him. So it was a bit late, to be fair, but I was comfortable I'd be able to dodge any of the golfers that were playing up and down. I think it's the 14th and the 2nd that I'm crossing, golf courses or whatever you call them, holes or whatever. And I have had one or two comments over the time that I've gone through the golf course, where a golfer will say, oh, are you a member? And, because I don't turn up in my Lacoste colorful trousers and whatever it is else they wear. Golf shirts, I guess. So I'm kind of conscious that I don't really want to kind of come into too much contact with these golfy boys, because they epitomize, the want to fit in crowd. The you have to have a certain kind of status to come to this club. The club's called Park Langley, or Langley Park Golf Club. It's a nice club. It's a smart club. It's 100 odd years old, and the land was ceded by a Major Goodhart to the local authority, and he put down certain stipulations. I think one of them was that the land of the golf course remain in the public's domain. I hadn't really researched this, but I just didn't care too much about that anyway, because for me, we're not even, if we go into the bunker and play in the sand for a little while, I'll always rake it up afterwards. And of course, it's in my best interest that we're nowhere near the golf balls when they're coming down the range. No one cares more about Alexander's well-being than his parents, I'm sure. So I, had put it out there. I mean, whatever, these people can think whatever they like. It's a beautiful little stroll through some trees and bit of lake and some wildlife, squirrels and whatnot, and the old golf ball. So we walked past this 3-ball that were just finishing up on the green of the second, and I'd held back as I'd walked down the length of the fairway. They were finishing up their sort of putting on the green as we walked nearby on the path nearby them, and I heard this guy say, probably as loud as he could in order to ensure that I heard, he said to his pal, or in Irish, this is my Irish accent, or is this land owned by the council or by the club? And his pal said, oh no, well, the club had the opportunity to buy it, but they still, that's all I heard. I was walking on, and it made me, okay, so maybe I was in my track pants and I didn't fit the bill in that way. But my little boy, Alexander, is surely carrying this little angel of humanity, this little perfect human. And that doesn't touch anybody's heart and go, well, that's awesome that the dad is bringing this kid out into the outdoors here and so on. But no, their membership and their ability to buy exclusivity and to keep the riffraff out becomes well, it becomes how we all become, if we're not careful, if we think we're in this club or that club, what's more special than this group and more special than that. I suppose there's a lesson there for us in the flat earth communities, the variety of flat earth communities. Yeah. A little coffee. What's wrong with us, though? What's wrong with us that we see someone who clearly couldn't be doing any harm? I'm carrying a baby. I'm smiling at these folks, trying to be a decent, communicating fellow human being. You find that harder and harder to do. People are certainly around here, the cities and so on. They don't want to interact so much with us anymore. I mean, with each other, with ourselves. And so, yesterday I was given this platform, very kindly given this platform to speak to a slightly larger audience than I normally get. Maybe much larger, I'm not sure, but I felt the pressure of that, and it was different to just turning up and speaking about something from the heart. So I had a message to deliver to the press that were going to be there, and it wasn't like we were inundated with press, but I had a message to deliver to them, which I feel like I failed to achieve satisfactorily. And while I'm out walking and have quiet time like I have just had with Alexander, I have time to reflect and time to compose my thoughts. And I think I came up with this that I'd like to share with the media, if the media were ever to hear this, or if you're a member of the media. Whether or not you've looked into conspiracies and conspiracy theories, it is absolutely a matter of fact that the media is about the most powerful tool in shaping public opinion. We know that. That's why advertisers capitalize on it, and that's why it is there in the first place. It is the fact that our world is being reported to be a very... If I've got my camera upside down, I apologize for that. I'm looking at the cameras down here, but our world is torn apart by the separation and the division that exists in pretty much every theater of our reality, or so-called reality. And as uncomfortable as this may be to hear, the media is culpable in creating a situation where warfare, famine, financial famine and hardship and other of the dialectics, the difficulties, the challenges, the mountains that need to be climbed by your benevolent government have been created by the government and their newspapers, because they tell you the news and paper over their lies. So it is incumbent on all decent human beings to check themselves now that we know that the moon landings were clearly faked. It's obvious once you go and look for yourself. And now that we know that much of what NASA present us is cartoonery, CGI and faker, and artist renditions, and a lot of circus tricks and wires and blue screens and bubbles in space and missing 360-degree spins on a spacewalk, and a whole raft of other things that start to look like, like watching a Hollywood science fiction movie from the 1950s. You watch that today and you can see all the fakery. It looks so obvious. Well, that's how the moon landings look when you go and look at them for yourself as a thinking human. But, humanity has gotten so frightened of itself, so full of itself, so lost in this version of who and what we are. It's hard not to put the responsibility squarely on those who are purveying that sense, are importing that sense into people's lounges and their living rooms and their coffee shop newspaper rack. Sorry, my hand is a bit buoyant this morning. I've got some sort of anti-gravity issue. That's a bit close, isn't it? Sorry about that. I was resting it on my pumpkin the other day. Unfortunately, my pumpkin started getting cut up now. Yeah, we have, or you have, if you're in the press and in the media. But if you're a teacher, you have an opportunity here to really be one of those people that stood for this or really rather be one of those people who saw how badly humanity was getting it, how badly humanity was leading itself by having forgotten what and who we are, but leading itself into a system of total decay, moral decay, and emotional, spiritual decay. And trust me when I tell you this, is that as a former atheist, atheism is one of the leading forms of decay. We live in a far more atheistic world now than we ever have, I think. But we give away our faithfulness and our rationale or rationality to theorists of science, wonderful thinkers. Brian Cox comes to mind, someone I used to admire. Lawrence Krauss and Michio Kaku. In South Africa, one of the languages that my second language, Afrikaans, kak means shit. Michio Kaku. Yeah, and then you got Neil Grass-Hole Tyson. These people are saying, oh, well, what we think is, and then people like me just kind of go along with it. My little boy is not yet asleep. You were meant to be asleep, little boy. Oh, well, I'm going to have to rock and roll. He's going to want something to eat. He'll want my attention, but this is possibly that moment in time when somebody with a significant stake and a respectable reach says, yeah, heck, there is something very wrong with the system that we've been taught. There is a lot of it that is based on belief, and I think that if you're a Guardian newspaper editor, or you're a thinking, newspaper editor, you claim to be, so smart. But like me, you base your worldview and ideology on theories. That's the bottom line. Gravity is a theory. Relativity, both special and general, are based on that. So you've got supposition layered upon further supposition and yet more supposition, while removing things that we can see, like level water and ether. Bring these things into your consciousness and you will realize that, firstly, you're swimming, you're going along with the muddy water, and you can't see the wood for the trees from that position. That's the first thing. Yeah, secondly, you might very well be remembered as that group that finally help people to realize that they are much more than the dogma and the scientism would have them believe. And for that, your karma, your contribution to the rise or the trajectory or the improvement of the whole human story will be undeniable and will set you apart from those who would continue to mock and scoff from their place of ignorance. So, let me rock and roll. You go and tend to my boy. Have a super Sunday. And we're going to have a London meetup to talk about all things later this month, November 2018. And I'll let you know with more details on my channel. And my new friends, Marilyn and Cosmic Cat, I'm sure will help me get that all set up. I think we'll probably call on Roxanne, the Globalist Denier, to give it some of her usual PR and whatnot.